Hey everyone, did you know that out of all the international students that come to Canada every year, half of them are Indian? And half the Indians are Punjabi. Right now in Canada, there are approximately 300,000 Punjabi students. It's not easy leaving your home country and coming to a foreign place where you don't know anyone. There's culture shock, language barrier, you have to adjust to a new way of life, all on your own. International students pay 3 times as much as domestic students, and they have to take full-time classes while they work to cover their tuition. All this can lead to stress, anxiety, depression. Recently, there's been a spike in suicides and drug overdoses in international students. They need help, but are they seeking it? Research studies show that 77% of students who attend counseling benefit from it. It helps them gain the skills to overcome or work through their illness. However, international students are less likely than domestic students to seek out mental health services. And they're also more likely to drop out after the first session. Why is this? Well, there are a number of reasons. Some are not aware of the services. There are language barriers. Counselors are not culturally competent, or the services aren't culturally relevant, and there is stigma and fear associated with being labeled or judged. When you speak a different language, you think differently, there are different concepts. So it only makes sense to get counseling in the language you speak. Out of the 20,000 students at Kwantlen, 40% are international students. 30% of Kwantlen students speak Punjabi. I reached out to the counseling department at KPU. They have 14 counselors that serve the students online and in person, but the services are only in English. They recommended TELUS Health as an alternative option. TELUS Health provides services in 5 main languages: Cantonese, Mandarin, Spanish, French, English. They also have counselors that speak other languages, such as Punjabi, but when you call in, you get connected with whoever's available. The International Student Association at Kwantlen recommended that I also use TELUS Health as an alternative option if I want counseling in a language other than English. Kwantlen's peer wellness team also recommended that I use TELUS Health as an alternative option. However, Kwantlen Student Association's peer support office has student volunteers that speak languages other than English, and they do one-on-one sessions in an informal setting among sofas with tea and cookies. Kwantlen's wellness team also holds socials. This might be a good thing, because when I spoke with Punjabi students on campus, some of them hadn't heard of counseling. Some of them were unaware of what counseling is and the purpose behind it. If you haven't noticed, on Surrey campus, pretty much every building, there'll be at least one group of students that's sitting there playing cards or singing or just chatting. They hold space for each other. You say whatever's on your mind. There's no judgment. Doesn't matter what you're wearing, how you look, if it's about school, work. They even poke fun at each other. This is their way of de-stressing. I spoke with Gulpreet Singh, the founder of SAMA, South Asian Mental Health Awareness Alliance. They've worked quite a bit with international students over the years. In 2019, they did a retreat for international students. They gave them a lecture on how to handle a drug overdose, on mental health, and how to avoid being exploited. But what was really beneficial for the students was the time they spent with each other, playing card games, singing. They got to open up and speak their mind. Some of them are still friends to this day. Sama has also reached out to Langara College to provide guidance on how better to serve international students. And their recommendation was that they provide counseling services in languages other than English. When I asked Gulpreet Singh on alternatives to conventional counseling, he suggested that the best thing is to hold a social where people are free to drop in whenever, where they can interact and socialize in a lounge setting, much like what KSA's peer support office does, and the Pride Center, as well as other clubs on campus. So rather than hold socials, which are beneficial, to have a lounge area where people can drop in. His second recommendation was having a space for seniors to talk to students, much like the Friendship Bench model by Dixon Chabanda. When I talked to Punjabi students on campus, they were more interested in talking to someone that is closer to their age and that speaks their language if they had to seek counseling services. But I feel that the Friendship Bench model would be a very good idea for Kwantlen to implement. It might also help to provide services in other languages, such as Punjabi and Hindi, because 30% of Kwantlen students speak Punjabi and Hindi. The Sikh Student Association in Kwantlen is one of 8 clubs that are run by Indians on campus. Since Surrey is a bigger campus, it makes sense that the Pride Center has their office there as well as this peer support. But it might be beneficial for other clubs to have offices on other campuses as well, where students can drop in and socialize. And if you run into someone that you don't know, talk to them, because chances are they might be an international student. 40% of Kwantlen students are international students. It might brighten their day. Thank you for watching. And remember, speak the language of your culture, because that is what keeps cultures alive.